Today, we're going to be going over things you need to know if you are considering living here in Nashville, what it's really like, the good, the bad, the ugly, and all the things in between. So if you're thinking about moving or relocating here, just curious what it's like to live in Nashville, then stay tuned. Hey y'all, Tiffany Gudger here with Tiffany Gudger Real Estate right here in Nashville, Tennessee. If this is your first time to my channel, thanks for stopping by. If you have been here before, then welcome back. We're going through some changes here. We're redoing my office space, so we're just on my old desk with nothing. I have my water bottle and some pens just because it looked really empty. My notes per usual. But yeah, we're redoing some things here in the business. I've recently changed my name. Finally, my new last name will be Owen, and so you'll see that on my future videos. All my previous email accounts will also still work for those that might see an old video and respond to that. But we are working on some changes. So we're going to be updating my office, and I'll have a better video set up and that kind of thing. So just bear with me if you don't mind. So for those that don't know, I am a local real estate agent, and while I love doing these videos for you guys, that is my passion. I love helping people move here to Middle Tennessee. So if you ever want to get a hold of me, or you have questions about what it's like to live here or move here, feel free to give me a call, shoot me a text, send me an email. However you want to get a hold of me is fine. I am the one that will answer or respond to text messages, phone calls, all that stuff. And it would really mean a lot to me if this is something you're interested in to click subscribe down below and hit the notification bell so you're notified every time I do a new video. Now that we've got all the fun, standard YouTube practices out of the way, I want to talk to you guys about what it's actually like to live here in Nashville. So I've done one of these videos before, but things change. And you guys seem to like it before. So I just want to do an update and a refresher because, I think that was in like 2022, and 2024 is very different than 2022, even though it's only 2 years ago. So that being said, we're going to dive right in. Let's start with the obvious, the music scene here in Nashville. Everyone thinks that Nashville is all about country music, and while that's true to an extent, the reality is much more diverse. Country music is big here, but Nashville is also home to rock, indie, blues, jazz, and all kinds of music, even hip hop. There's all kinds of places you can go to see all genres of music. But one thing I will say is that living here in Nashville doesn't mean you're just constantly surrounded by live music all the time like people might think. Like, sure, if you live on Broadway or you're on Broadway, it is rampant down there. It is everywhere, literally everywhere. And there are streets and places like that. But in all reality, you have to kind of go looking for live music here. You don't just stumble upon it at your local grocery store or local watering hole. And while they may have some live music nights, it's not as big of a thing as you might think. So if you enjoy those quiet dinners without the live music and stuff, that's totally easy to find, and you can find that here, unless you're on Broadway, and we all know that is kind of its own little world. And when it comes to music, you'd honestly be surprised how many people that move here are actually not in the music industry. While I'm sure that a larger percentage than the national average of people here are in the music industry for obvious reasons, it is Music City. That's not, the biggest and most prominent thing people move here for as far as jobs. Like, there's still huge hospitality jobs, hospitals and healthcare and schools. Tech companies are now moving here, and they're realizing that they can move their businesses here and it's going to be less expensive, but they can get just as much done. So you're not just going to meet musicians here, so don't feel like that you have to be a musician to want to move to Nashville. There are all kinds of young professionals, retirees, people from across the board moving here. Next up, let's talk about the cost of living. So Nashville used to be one of the more affordable big cities in the United States, especially when compared to places in California and New York and things like that. But that's not really the case anymore. The city's rapid growth, driven by an influx of new residents and businesses, has caused housing prices to skyrocket. We are definitely at the highest peak that we've been in since I've lived here. So, whether you're looking to rent or buy, be prepared for some sticker shock. Prices have continued to go up year over year. And especially, with interest rates, a couple years ago, the higher housing prices were more affordable when interest rates were 2 and 3%. If we ever see that again in our lifetimes, I will be surprised. That's just not going to happen. The average interest rate over the last 50 years is 8%. So a 5% interest rate or 6% interest rate is honestly pretty good. But those $500,000 and $600,000 homes, which are about the average here, are going to be harder for more people to afford. And not just buying houses. If you are a renter, and especially if you're wanting to rent in those super desirable areas like the Gulch and 12 South and really anywhere close to town, you're definitely going to pay a premium because the demand for those is so high. Again, because not everybody can afford to buy at the rate that we're at. So there's more renters. So landlords essentially can charge more. So in general, the housing market, renting, buying, whichever way you're going to pay a premium here in Nashville. And it's not just housing. We know groceries have gone up all over the country, but they've really skyrocketed here in Nashville. The cost of going out to eat and things like that have gone up a lot too. Just the overall cost of living has gone up substantially in the last 2 years. So where people might think that Nashville used to be a little more affordable, you might want to check some prices of what it costs to eat out, grocery stores, that kind of thing, gas, compare it to where you're at, and you may actually need to adjust your budget. The next thing I want to talk about is something that affects everyone as well, and that is traffic and infrastructure. Nashville's is terrible. I don't have any other way to put it. The traffic's bad, the roads, the potholes are bad. We don't have any good public transportation system. They've recently discussed putting in some lanes that you can essentially pay money to use. And it should decrease traffic times because, people that aren't locals won't be paying for that. And so you'll have these 2 lanes that are much faster than all the others. But even if that takes place, we're looking at the 2050s, 2053 or something like that before that would ever even be a thing. So they don't have any immediate solutions. We have no, transit system. We have a really small commuter train that goes to 3 different cities. But other than that, it's just one straight shot. So unless you live along that straight shot, which is east of downtown, your only options are to commute unless you live close and you want to Uber or walk somewhere. But we're not really a super walkable city either. So I used to drive into work all the time. And I got so tired of the traffic. I work primarily from home now, as do a lot of people since COVID, but it has made me more productive in the fact that I have a lot more working hours. Because if I get up and I do the same routine, but I'm not spending an hour in the car in the mornings and an hour and a half in the evenings, then, I have so much more time to get things done, whether it's extra time in the gym or returning phone calls or if I have showings, that kind of thing. So just know when you get here, the commute might seem short, it might only seem a couple miles to town, but if you are traveling, especially during those prime commuter hours, you might want to give yourself a little extra time and check that out prior to coming here and picking out your house. Get up, from your Airbnb or wherever you are visiting and drive the route you would take to get to work from the part of the city or the suburb that you want to live in, and just get a feel for how long that commute actually takes. Now, when it comes to weather and natural disasters, it might be a little worse than you were originally thinking. I didn't have tornadoes on my register when I was considering moving here in 2016. And there's been 2 pretty decent ones near me in that time. It is something that unfortunately we face here. we get some pretty bad thunderstorms and wind. And like I said, we've had 2 pretty significant tornadoes since I've lived here. It hasn't changed my mind or made me consider wanting to move. But just know we get some pretty rocking thunderstorms, which I love thunderstorms, but I know plenty of people that do not like them. We'll get some flooding from it because we just have built so many structures and different things over the years that we just can't support all that water when it comes rushing down. And our summers are brutally hot. We are finally just hitting in the 80s as a high here in mid-August, and it is such a relief. The last month or 2 has been absolutely horrific. It's been so hot. It'll be 95 or something with a real feel of 110 or something crazy, and you walk outside and you're just sweaty and sticky and it's humid and really bad for a month or so in the summer. But we're finally getting past that, where we're going to be in the 80s for a high and 50s for the low, and I am so excited. I think that is the best time here in Tennessee. But aside from that, we don't get a ton of snow. When we do, people here don't know what to do. This is a southern town. People kind of freak out. Everything shuts down, and then usually it'll melt, but then it'll refreeze, and then it turns to ice, and then it's dangerous, and it's a whole thing. But we don't really have to worry about that much either. That being said, I think the biggest thing that people don't realize here is that we do get some tornadoes and tornado warnings. So if you've never heard a tornado siren before, you might want to prepare yourself. Now, something that I know many people really want to know about and want me to dive into is kind of the culture here in Nashville. So it's been my experience that while it is a southern town and a southern city, I guess, and southern hospitality is a real thing, there are lots of people moving here from other places, be it for music or for tech or for jobs or, whatever it may be. There are a lot of people moving from other places. Some locals who are born and raised nearby are not big fans of this because they don't want people coming from other places trying to change them or, whatever that is. But overall, I will say most people here are very respectful of differing beliefs, or religious views, that kind of thing. Nashville itself as a city and Davidson County is more on the Democratic side, with about 60% Democrats and 40% Republicans, while the state as a whole is in reverse. So about 60% Republican and 40% Democratic. I have friends on all ends of the spectrum, from the middle to extremes on either side. And we all have parties and events together and everybody gets along and it's fine. So I do feel like in this climate, political climate that we're in right now, Nashville is a place that is pretty middle of the road, where we're not seeing tons of extreme things on either side. People try to be understanding. They might not understand your position, but maybe understanding isn't the right word. They might not understand your position and you might not understand theirs, but they're respectful of it. And again, there are exceptions to every rule, and this rule is no exception. There are people that are very set in their ways, but you're going to find that anywhere. And I will say on the outskirts of towns, that is a more, in the rural parts, life moves a little slower. People don't get in as big of a hurry. You might realize that you're stopped at a red light and the person behind you didn't honk when it turned green, and it's a crazy feeling because they're just letting you do your thing. But of course, you're in the city, things are busier, more bustling, and you're going to get honked at if you sit at a green light. So it's kind of different worlds here depending on where you want to be, and I kind of love that. To me, Nashville is a very big city, but I'm from rural Western North Carolina in the mountains, and so Asheville was the closest thing I had to a big city. So Nashville to me is huge. I know plenty of people move from other places that think Nashville is tiny. And in reality, it is kind of a small town, big city. People people do kind of learn to know everybody in their industry and meet a bunch of people. And I really wouldn't have it any other way, because you get the best of both worlds. You get city living if you want it. You get the farm life if you want it. You get the white picket fence, 2.5 kids, whatever it is, kids running around after school at the neighborhood pool or in the cul-de-sac or whatever. You can have that. You can literally find anything you want here. And I think a lot of people are starting to figure that out. And that's why I've become one of the hottest destinations in the country to move to. And speaking of the busy city area, we have an influx, like huge influx of tourists every year. It's crazy. If you don't like tourists in your town, do not move to Nashville, or at least maybe move to the outskirts, because Nashville is such a popular destination. I mean, we have, if we have big concerts and a Titans game or something like that going on at the same time, we'll have 1 million people come in from out of town. It is a huge destination city. People love it here. We're the number one, or at least last time I checked, so don't quote me on this. We were the number one bachelorette destination in the world. So one of the games that we have is when you go out to Broadway or downtown, just counting how many bachelorette parties you see, because it's going to be 20 or 25 every time, at least. So while it is really, really good for our economy, it can be a little daunting for those that live here. Traffic on the weekends gets a little worse. You're going to have to wait in line at some of your favorite restaurants and things like that a little longer. The bars are going to be more crowded, but that is part of the appeal of Nashville, I suppose. And kind of pulling from that same topic, I guess, or same idea, is Nashville, if you get bored here, that's your own fault. I am telling you, there is so much to do here. And for those of you that don't know, my husband does travel in the country music world. And so when he comes home, we try to make a date night, a specific, try something new, like, once a week when the weeks that he's home. And I don't know if we'll ever run out of new restaurants to try, because they're constantly adding new ones. We have some great Michelin star rated restaurants, plus some really good, like, hole-in-the-wall restaurants. I have a friend who runs an Instagram and YouTube page that's all about where to eat in Nashville. If you want me to send that information over to you, let me know, or I'll put it in the description below, or I'd love to tell you more about that. But between the food is its whole other. I could do a whole video just on that. We also have tons of sports and athletics. We have our Nashville Predators hockey team. We have the Tennessee Titans NFL Stadium, which they're building a new one, which we're really excited about. I can't wait to see what that happens. We have our own soccer team, minor league baseball, all kinds of stuff. Tons of intramurals for locals to play. And there's just always something to do. The Adventure Science Center and Museum for Kids is awesome. The zoo, Opry, you can go take a tour of it. There's just so much to do. And I think even living here, I have yet to get bored. There's lakes to go swimming at, and rivers to go fishing, and greenways for walking your dogs. And there's something literally for everyone. I think I've preached this in so many of my videos, and I'm probably a broken record, but I can't express to you, what that's like. Like, being in the mountains, I can't honestly say that that's for everyone. It's really good for people that like to be outdoors or have a relaxed lifestyle and things like that. But in Nashville, it really is something for everyone. I know people from all different backgrounds, walks of life, religions, different hobbies, all kinds of stuff. So I really want to put some emphasis on that. It is one of my favorite things about Nashville, which is usually my number one answer when I have a client ask me why I like living here and why I'm still here. So all of that being said, thank you for attending my TIFF talk. I personally think that Nashville is an amazing place to live. There are negatives, and do not believe the people out there just doing these videos that are like, oh, Nashville, it's all unicorns and rainbows and sunshine and happiness and, everybody gets along. Because it's not true. There's crime here. There's homeless here. but it's not as bad as other places. Like, it's not Seattle up in here, you know, with all the homeless. Like, it's pretty under control. There is crime, but I mean, you're gonna have crime anywhere. So I feel safe here, even with tornadoes and bad weather and crazy heat indexes and humidity and all the negative stuff doesn't even come close to outweighing the good for me. If you want to talk to me about it and your specific concerns and you want to ask me, I promise you, I will be brutally honest. I am in no way, shape, or form trying to convince anyone that they have to be here if it's not a smart decision for you and your family. So, that being said, thank you for watching. There's so many more points I could put in here, and I could ramble on and on forever, but we will save it for another time. Let me know what questions you have. I'll try and get them answered in future videos. I am so thankful for you guys and for sticking with me this long. It's been a couple years. Things are going well. I really enjoy hearing from you, and I'm looking forward to helping more of you move to this beautiful city. And again, thank you so much for all you do. Give me a call, shoot me a text, send me an email if you are thinking about moving or relocating to the Nashville or Middle Tennessee area. And until the next video, guys, we'll catch you later.